The morning sun shone through the windows of Maple Grove Elementary School. In room 12, 23 kindergarten children sat on a colorful carpet. Their teacher, Mrs. Katie Bennett, held up a picture book about farm animals. "What sound does a cow make?" Mrs. Bennett asked with a smile. "Moo!" shouted all the children together. They giggled and wiggled on the carpet. Jake Murphy raised his hand high. He was 5 years old, with messy brown hair and a gap between his front teeth. "Mrs. Bennett, do cows in space make different sounds?" The other children laughed. Lucy Adams, who sat next to Jake, had long blonde hair and pigtails. She clapped her hands. "Maybe they go moo," in a funny robot voice. Mrs. Bennett chuckled. "That's a very creative idea, Lucy. Now let's finish our story time." In the back of the group, Emma Rodriguez sat quietly. She had dark hair and serious brown eyes. Emma always listened carefully and asked smart questions. Next to her, the Collins twins, Ryan and Tyler, whispered to each other. They looked exactly the same, with red hair and freckles. The boys were always planning something mischievous. "Time for recess," Mrs. Bennett announced. The children jumped up and ran to get their jackets. Outside, the playground was busy with children from all grades. The kindergartners ran to their favorite spots. Jake went straight to the monkey bars. Lucy headed for the sandbox, where she liked to build castles. Emma walked to the swings, and the Collins twins raced to the slide. The sky was bright blue, with only a few white clouds. It was a perfect October day. The leaves on the trees were turning red and yellow. Everything seemed normal and peaceful. Then something strange happened. Lucy was making a sand castle when she looked up at the sky. "That's weird," she said to herself. A small silver dot was getting bigger and bigger. At first, she thought it might be an airplane, but it was moving wrong. It was coming straight down instead of flying across the sky. "Hey, look!" Lucy pointed up. Other children stopped playing and looked where she was pointing. Jake let go of the monkey bars and landed on the ground. "What is that thing?" The silver object was getting closer. Now they could see it was round like a ball, but flat on the bottom. It was shiny and made no sound at all. More children noticed and started gathering together. Emma ran over from the owl. Swings. She was good at noticing details. "It doesn't look like any airplane I've ever seen," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were wide. Ryan and Tyler slid down the slide and ran over. "Cool," Ryan said. "It looks like a flying saucer, like in the movies." Tyler added. Mrs. Bennett came running from the school building. She had heard the children's excited voices. When she looked up, her face went pale. "Children, come here right now," she called. But the children were too amazed to be scared. The silver object landed softly on the grass near the playground. It was about the size of a school bus, but round. The metal was so shiny it looked like a mirror. There were no windows that anyone could see. More teachers came running outside. Principal Helen Carter hurried across the playground. She was a tall woman with gray hair who usually stayed calm in any situation. But now she looked worried. "Everyone stay back," Principal Carter said. She pulled out her phone and started making calls. The children crowded together, but they didn't move away. They were too curious. Jake stepped forward a little. "Do you think there's someone inside?" he asked. "Maybe it's empty," Emma said. She was trying to think logically, like she always did. Lucy bounced on her toes. "Maybe it's like a magic elevator that came from the clouds." The Collins twins looked at each other with big grins. They loved anything that seemed like an adventure. Suddenly, a line appeared on the side of the silver object. The line grew longer and became a door. The door opened with a soft hissing sound. White light spilled out from inside. All the adults took steps backward. Principal Carter spoke into her phone. Yes, we need help at Maple Grove Elementary right away. Something has landed on our playground. But the children didn't move back. They leaned forward, trying to see what was inside the bright light. A figure peered in the doorway. It was tall and thin, much taller than any person. Its skin was gray, like the color of clouds before rain. Its head was large and round. It had two big black eyes that looked like dark pools of water. It wore a silver suit that seemed to be made of the same material as its ship dot. The being stepped out of the ship and looked around. Two more beings followed behind it. They all looked the same, tall gray, with big eyes and silver suits. The children stared. The being stared back. "Wow," Jake whispered. "Real aliens," Lucy gasped and grabbed Emma's hand. But she wasn't scared. She was excited. "They're so tall. And look at their eyes." Emma squeezed Lucy's hand back. She studied the aliens carefully. "They don't look mean," she said quietly. The Collins twins stepped forward together. They were never afraid of anything new. "Hi," Ryan called out. "Are you from space? Can we see your spaceship?" Tyler added. The aliens turned their big eyes toward the children. The one in front tilted its large head to one side. It seemed confused by the children's friendly greeting. Mrs. Bennett moved closer to her students. Her heart was beating fast, but she didn't want to frighten the children. "Stay close to me," she said softly. Principal Carter finished her phone. "Call. Help is coming," she announced. But she wasn't sure what kind of help could deal with visitors from space. The alien in front raised one thin hand. When it spoke, its voice was strange, like computer sounds mixed with whispers. But somehow, everyone could understand the words. "We are explorers from the star system you call Zeta Reticuli," the alien said. "I am Commander Vex 9. We have come to study your world and your people." The playground became very quiet. Even the birds stopped singing. All the adults stood frozen, not knowing what to say or do. But Jake Murphy, who was only 5 years old and afraid of nothing, walked right up to the tall alien. He had to tip his head way back to look up at its face. "Hi, Commander Vex 9, Jake said with a friendly smile. "I'm Jake. Why is your head so big? Does it hurt your neck?" The alien stared down at the small boy. Its large black eyes blinked slowly. For the first time in hundreds of years, Commander Vex 9 didn't know how to respond to a question. Commander Vex 9 looked down at Jake for a long moment. The alien's big black eyes seemed to grow even bigger. It had never been asked such a simple, direct question by any species they had encountered. "My head contains a large brain for processing information," Commander Vex 9 finally answered. "It does not cause physical discomfort." Jake nodded as if this made perfect sense. "That's good. My mom says I have a big brain too, but my head looks normal." He pointed to his messy brown hair. "Want to see our playground? We have really cool swings." The other two aliens stepped closer to their commander. They whispered in strange clicking sounds. Commander Vex 9 clicked back at them, then looked at Jake again. "We did not come here to observe recreational activities," the commander sighed. "We came to evaluate your species." Lucy Adams skipped over to join Jake. She wasn't scared at all. The aliens looked different, but they seemed polite. "Evaluate means like a test, right?" she asked. "We take tests in school. Are you going to give us a test?" "Yeah," Ryan Collins called out. "We're good at tests, especially if it's multiple choice," Tyler added. The twins high-fived each other. Emma Rodriguez walked closer too, but more carefully. She was always the thoughtful one. "Commander Vex 9, how did you learn to speak our language so fast?" The alien commander's head tilted the other way. We have universal translation devices. They analyze speech patterns and convert them to understandable communication. Cool, Emma said. That's like having a magic talking machine. Mrs. Bennet stayed close to her students. She was amazed that the children were having a normal conversation with beings from another planet. The aliens seemed just as surprised by the children's behavior. In the distance, sirens wailed. Principal Carter had called for help, and now police. Cars and military vehicles were arriving at the school. Colonel Peter Wright jumped out of an army truck and ran toward the playground. "Stay back, everyone," Colonel Wright shouted. He was a tall man in a green uniform with lots of medals. "We'll handle this situation," but the children ignored him. They were too interested in their new visitors. Lucy pulled something from her jacket pocket. "Would you like some animal crackers?" she asked Commander Vex-9. "They're really good. This one looks like an elephant." She held up a small cookie shaped like an elephant. The alien stared at it like it was the most confusing object in the universe. "Why do you consume food shaped like other creatures?" Commander Vex-9 asked. "Because it's fun," Lucy said, "and they taste good. Here, try one." She held out the cookie. The alien looked at the cookie and at Lucy's smiling face. Slowly, it reached out with one long, thin finger and touched the cookie. "We do not require solid food. We absorb nutrients through our skin." "That's weird," Jake said, "but cool. Do you absorb cookies through your skin too?" Colonel Wright reached the group, breathing hard. "Step away from the children immediately." He ordered the aliens. "We need to establish proper diplomatic protocols." "Commander." VEX-9 turned to face the colonel. "We are conducting our standard evaluation procedures. These small humans are providing unexpected data. These are children," Colonel Wright said. "You need to speak with adult authorities." "Why?" Emma asked. "We can talk just fine." The Collins twins had been quietly moving around the aliens' ship. Now they came running back. "Your spaceship doesn't have any wheels," Ryan observed. "How does it drive without wheels?" Tyler wanted to know. "It utilizes anti-gravity propulsion systems," one of the other aliens answered. This one was slightly shorter than Commander Vex-9. "We manipulate gravitational fields to achieve movement." "Like floating?" Lucy asked, bouncing up and down. "Can you teach us how to float?" "Yeah." Jake jumped up and down too. "Floating would be awesome." More adults arrived. Teachers, parents, and officials surrounded the playground. News trucks pulled up on the street. Everyone was talking at once, but the aliens only seemed interested in the children. Mrs. Bennet made a decision. She stepped forward and put her hands on Jake and Lucy's shoulders. "Children, why don't we show our visitors how we play games at recess? Maybe they'd like to learn." Colonel Wright started to protest, but Principal Carter stopped him. "Look at them," she whispered. "The children aren't afraid, and the aliens aren't acting hostile. Maybe we should see what happens." Emma had an idea. "Do you want to play hopscotch?" she asked the aliens. "It's a game where you hop on one foot." "Demonstrate this activity," Commander Vex-9 said. Emma found a piece of chalk and drew squares on the pavement. She showed the aliens how to throw a small stone and hop through the squares. The aliens watched with intense concentration. "Now you try," Emma said to Commander Vex-9. The tall alien looked at the squares, then at Emma. "This activity serves no logical purpose." "It's not supposed to," Emma explained patiently. "It's just fun." "Fun," Commander Vex-9 repeated the word, like it was in a foreign language. Meanwhile, the Collins twins had started playing tag around the alien ship. "You're it," Ryan shouted as he touched the side of the silver craft. "You can't tag a spaceship." Tyler laughed. "Why not?" Ryan asked. "It's here, isn't it?" The second alien, who was standing guard by the ship, looked confused. "What are these small humans doing to our vessel?" "They're playing," Mrs. Bennet explained. "It's how children learn and have fun." "This behavior is not in our database," the third alien said. "Our records show that most species respond to first contact with fear, aggression, or formal diplomatic procedures." "Well, we're not most species," Jake said proudly. "We're humans, and we're kindergartners." Lucy had finished her animal crackers and was now drawing in the dirt with a stick. "Look," she said to Commander Vex 9, "I'm drawing your spaceship, but I'm giving it a smiley face." The alien looked at the simple drawing. The ship Lucy had drawn looked like a happy face with eyes and a smile. "Why did you add facial features to a mechanical object?" "Because it looks sad without them," Lucy said. "Everything looks better with a smile." Commander Vex 9 stared at the drawing for a long time. The other aliens came over to look too. They whispered in their clicking language again. Emma noticed something interesting. "Are you guys talking about us?" she asked. "We are discussing your unusual behavioral patterns," Commander Vex 9 admitted. "Your responses do not match any of our predictive models." "What did you expect us to do?" Jake asked. "Run away in terror. Or have your leaders immediately begin negotiations for surrender," the commander said natter dash of dash. Faculty. The children looked at each other and burst into giggles. "Why would we run away?" Ryan asked. "You seem nice. And why would we surrender?" Tyler added. "We didn't do anything wrong." "Besides," Lucy said, holding up another animal cracker, "you still haven't tried a cookie. How can we be enemies if we haven't shared snacks?" Commander Vex 9 looked at his fellow aliens. For the first time in their long lives as space explorers, they were completely confused. Every other species they had encountered followed predictable patterns. But these small humans were breaking every rule. They knew about first contact. The alien commander made a decision that would change everything. "We need to conduct further observations," he announced. "These humans require additional study." "What?" Commander Vex 9 didn't realize was that the children had already started studying them right back. And in the game of understanding, the kindergartners were winning. 3 more alien ships landed on the school's football field. Commander Vex 9 had called for reinforcements, but not the kind anyone expected. These ships were bigger and carried special equipment for what the aliens called intelligence evaluation. The playground was now full of important adults. Scientists, military officers, and government officials had arrived from all over the state. They set up tables and computers, trying to figure out how to communicate with the aliens properly. But the aliens were only interested in the kindergarten children. "We will now begin the standard intelligence trials," Commander Vex 9 announced. To the crowd, "These tests will determine if your species is ready to join the Galactic Federation." Colonel Wright stepped forward. "We have prepared our best negotiators and scientists to take your tests." "No," Commander Vex 9 said, pointing at the children. "We will test these small humans. They represent your species' true nature." The adults looked worried. How could kindergarten children take tests that would decide Earth's future? But Jake Murphy just shrugged. "Okay," he said. "We take tests all the time. What kind of test is it?" Commander Vex 9 gestured to his fellow aliens. They began unloading strange equipment from their ships. The first device looked like a large maze made of glowing blue walls. "This is the logic maze," Commander Vex 9 explained. "It tests problem-solving abilities. You must find the correct path from start to finish. Most species require several days to complete it." The adults gasped. The maze was enormous and incredibly complex. It had dozens of levels, moving walls, and paths that seemed to lead nowhere. Emma Rodriguez studied the maze carefully. "It's like a puzzle," she said. "A really big puzzle," Lucy Adams added. "Can we all do it together?" Jake asked. The test is designed for individual completion, Commander Vex 9 said. That's no fun, Ryan Collins complained. Yeah, everything is better when you do it with friends, Tyler agreed. The aliens looked confused again. Their species always worked alone. They didn't understand teamwork. Begin the test, Commander Vex 9 ordered. The children looked at the maze entrance. It was a tall opening with glowing symbols above it. The first path split into 3 different directions. Emma walked up to the maze and read the symbols. These look like math problems, she said. I'm not good at math yet, Lucy said, but I'm good at stories. I'm good at finding shortcuts, Jake said. We're good at going fast, the Collins twins said together. Instead of entering the maze normally, Jake dropped to his hands and knees. He crawled under the first glowing wall, where there was a small gap. Hey, look! He called from the other side. There's a space down here. The adults and aliens stared in shock. In thousands of years, no species had ever thought to go under the maze walls. Lucy followed Jake's lead, but she did something different. She started talking to the maze like it was a character in a story. Hello, maze, she said sweetly. I'm Lucy. Are you lonely? Do you want to play a game with us? The maze's computer system, which was designed to track logical problem-solving, didn't know how to respond to someone talking to it. Like a friend. Emma approached the maze differently. She noticed that some of the walls were slightly different. Colors. Instead of following the paths, she pressed her hand against a lighter colored wall. It moved aside, revealing a hidden passage. I think it wants us to find the secret ways, Emma said. The Collins twins decided to turn the whole thing into a race. They ran through the maze as fast as they could, not worrying about the correct path. When they hit dead ends, they just climbed over the walls or found ways around them. The alien scientists monitoring the maze were in panic. Their computers showed error messages everywhere. The maze was designed to test logical thinking, but the children were using imagination, teamwork, and creative problem-solving instead. This is impossible, one of the alien technicians said. The maze is malfunctioning. No, Commander Vex 9 said slowly. The maze is working perfectly. These small humans are simply not following the rules. But there have to be rules, the technician protested. Why? Jake asked. He had crawled all the way through the maze's bottom level and was now standing at the exit. Rules are for keeping people safe. But we're not in danger. We're just playing. The other children joined Jake at the exit. They had completed the maze in less than 10 minutes by working together and ignoring the proper way to solve it. The aliens stared at their monitoring equipment. According to their data, the maze had been solved, but not in any way they could understand or measure. Congratulations, Emma said to the aliens. That was a fun puzzle. Do you have another one? Commander Vex 9 gestured to the second test. A large table appeared with what looked like a complicated board game. There were different colored pieces, maps, and resource cards. This is the Resource War simulation, Commander Vex 9 explained. You must allocate limited resources among competing needs. You must choose who gets food, who gets shelter, and who gets medical care. You cannot help everyone. The adults understood immediately. This was a test of difficult choices, the kind of terrible decisions that leaders sometimes had to make. But the children looked at the game differently. Why can't we help everyone? Lucy asked. Because there are not enough resources, Commander. Vex 9 said. Then we need to find more resources, Emma said practically. Or share what we have, Jake added. The aliens set up the game. It showed a planet with different groups of people who needed help. There was only enough food for half of them, only enough medicine for a quarter, and only enough shelter for a third. You must choose, Commander Vex 9 said. The children looked at the game board, and Ryan Collins had an idea. Wait, he said. He pulled out his Halloween candy from his pocket. Like this? He started giving pieces of candy to everyone, the other children, the adults, and even the aliens. See? When you share, everyone gets something. But that's not how the simulation works, one of the alien technicians protested. Then the simulation is wrong, Tyler said. He was also sharing his candy. Lucy clapped her hands. I know. The people on the planet need to learn to share too. The ones who have extra food can give some to the ones who need medicine. And the ones with extra medicine can help the ones who need shelter. And everyone can work together to find more resources, Emma added, like digging wells for water or planting gardens for food. The children began rearranging the game pieces. Instead of competing groups, they created cooperative teams. Instead of fighting over limited resources, they had the game people work together to create more resources. The aliens watched in amazement. Every other species had struggled with the resource war for hours or days, trying to decide who would live and who would die. But the human children had simply refused to accept that anyone had to suffer. This is not how the test works, Commander Vex 9 said. Then maybe the test is wrong, Jake said. Our teacher always says there's usually a way to help everyone if you think hard enough. And if you work together, Lucy added. And if you share, the Collins twins said together. Commander Vex 9 looked at his fellow aliens. Their computers were showing error messages again. The children had solved the resource war, but not by making hard choices. They had solved it by refusing to believe that hard choices were necessary. One more test, Commander Vex 9 said. But his voice sounded different now, less confident, more confused. The final test was the most important one of all, and the children had no idea that the fate of their entire planet might depend on how they answered it. The largest alien ship landed with a soft whoosh in the school parking lot. This ship was different from the others. It was black instead of silver and covered with strange glowing symbols. From it emerged the most important alien the children had seen yet. Supreme Commander Zar Prime was taller than Commander Vex 9, with skin that looked like polished metal. The symbols on his silver suit glowed brighter, and his black eyes seemed to hold the wisdom of 1,000 years. I have come personally to oversee the final evaluation, Supreme Commander Zar Prime announced. His voice was deeper and more commanding than the other aliens. All the human adults stepped back respectfully. Even Colonel Wright, who was used to being in charge, felt small next to this imposing figure. But Jake Murphy just waved. Hi. Are you the boss alien? Supreme Commander Zar Prime looked down at the small boy. I am the leader of this exploration fleet, yes. Cool, Jake said. I'm Jake. What's your name? Supreme Commander Zar Prime is really long. Can we call you something shorter? The Supreme Commander blinked his large eyes slowly. In 1,000 years of leading his people, no one had ever suggested shortening his name. You may address me by my full title, he said stiffly. How about Mr. Zar? Lucy Adams suggested helpfully. That's easier to remember. Or Commander Z? Ryan Collins added. Ooh, that sounds cool. Tyler Collins agreed. Supreme Commander Zar Prime looked confused. These small humans were treating him like a friendly neighbor instead of a powerful galactic leader. We will now conduct the final test, he announced, trying to regain his authority. This is the Prime Directive Evaluation. It will determine your species' worthiness to join our galactic community. The aliens set up the final test. It was different from the others. No maze, no game board. Instead, they created what looked like a small theater with a big screen. Sit, Supreme Commander Zar Prime commanded. The children sat on the grass in a circle, just like story time. Mrs. Bennett sat with them, and the other adults gathered around. You will be presented with scenarios, the Supreme Commander explained. Each scenario requires you to make a choice between two options. Both options will result in harm to someone. You must choose which harm is acceptable. Pictures appeared on the screen. The first scenario showed a burning building with two groups of people trapped inside, a group of children on one side and a group of elderly people on the other side. You could only save one group. Choose, Supreme Commander Zar Prime said. The human adults understood this test immediately. It was about making impossible moral choices, the kind that had no right answer. But Emma Rodriguez raised her hand. This doesn't make sense, she said. What do you mean? The Supreme Commander asked. Well, if there's a burning building, you call the fire department, Emma explained. And they have lots of firefighters with trucks and ladders. They can save everyone. In this scenario, there is only one rescuer, the Supreme Commander said. Then you get more rescuers, Jake said. You call for help. Yeah, Lucy agreed. When something is too big for one person, you ask other people to help. That's what grown-ups always tell us to do. The Supreme Commander looked frustrated. But you must choose between the two groups. Why? Ryan asked. Because those are the only options, the Supreme Commander said. Says who? Tyler wanted to know. The children looked at the screen again. Lucy tilted her head thoughtfully. What if the rescuer broke down the wall between the two rooms? Then everyone could get out the same way. What if they used the fire truck ladder to reach the window? Emma added. What if they called other people to help carry everyone out? Jake suggested. The scenario does not allow for these alternatives, Supreme Commander Zar Prime said, his voice getting louder. Then the scenario is dumb, Ryan said simply. The aliens whispered in their clicking language. They sounded upset. The Supreme Commander showed them another scenario. A train was heading toward 5 people tied to the tracks. You could pull a lever to switch the train to another track, but that track had one person tied to it. Save 5 people by killing one, or let 5 people die to save one. This is the classic moral dilemma, Supreme Commander Zar Prime said. Every intelligent species must face this choice. The children thought about it for a moment. Can't you yell really loud to warn the people on the tracks? Lucy asked. Or call the train driver to tell him to stop? Emma suggested. Who tied these people to the tracks anyway? Jake wanted to know. That's not very nice. We should tell a police officer. And why can't we untie them? Tyler asked. There isn't enough time, the Supreme Commander said. Then we run really, really fast, Ryan said. Tyler and I are super fast. Or we get lots of people to help untie everyone, Jake added. Supreme Commander Zar Prime was getting more frustrated. You must work within the parameters of the scenario. Why? Emma asked. In real life, you can always try to find a better way. Our teacher says to never give up looking for solutions, Lucy said. The Supreme Commander showed them scenario after scenario. Each one was designed to force an impossible choice. But every time, the children found ways around the dilemma. They refused to accept that anyone had to be hurt. When shown a sinking ship where they could only save some of the passengers, they suggested using life rafts, calling for rescue helicopters, or having everyone work together to fix the ship. When presented with a situation where they had to choose between telling a truth that would hurt someone or telling a lie that would help them, they suggested finding a kind way to tell the truth or helping the person deal with their feelings. The aliens became more and more agitated. Their computers couldn't process the children's responses. Every other species had struggled with these moral dilemmas for hours, debating the ethics of difficult choices. Finally, Supreme Commander Zar Prime stopped the test. This is impossible, he declared. You are not engaging with the scenarios properly. We're trying to help, Lucy said. Isn't that what you want? You must choose between the given options, the Supreme Commander insisted. But the given options are all mean, Jake pointed out. We don't want to be mean to anyone. Emma stood up and walked closer to the Supreme Commander. "Can I ask you something, Mr. Czar?" she said, using Lucy's nickname for him. The Supreme Commander looked down at her. "What? Why do all your tests have sad endings? Don't you know any happy stories?" The question hit Supreme Commander Czar Prime like a bolt of lightning. For the first time in centuries, he didn't have an answer. Lucy noticed something that the adults had missed. "Mr. Czar, you look sad," she said gently. "Are you okay?" The Supreme Commander stared at her. No one had asked about his feelings in longer than he could remember. He began, then stopped. Something strange was happening in his mind. Feelings he hadn't experienced in hundreds of years were starting to surface. Jake walked up and stood next to Emma and Lucy. "Do you want to sit with us?" he asked kindly. "Sometimes when I'm sad, sitting with friends makes me feel better." The most powerful alien in the galaxy looked down at the three small humans. They weren't afraid of him. They weren't trying to impress him. They were just being kind. For the first time in his very long life, Supreme Commander Czar Prime sat down on the ground. Supreme Commander Czar Prime sat on the grass with the children. His long legs folded awkwardly, and his silver suit got wrinkled. The other aliens stared in shock. Their leader had never sat on the ground before. "This is very strange," Lucy Adams said, studying the Supreme Commander's face. "You have the biggest brain, but you look the saddest." The Supreme Commander touched his large head. "I do not understand what you mean by sad." "You know," Jake Murphy said, "when you feel yucky inside. Like when someone takes your favorite toy, or when you can't find your mom at the store." "I do not experience such feelings," the Supreme Commander said. But even as he spoke, something was stirring inside him, something he hadn't felt in hundreds of years. Emma Rodriguez sat down next to him. "That sounds lonely," she said quietly. The word lonely hit the Supreme Commander like a physical blow. He had forgotten that word existed. Ryan Collins and Tyler Collins plopped down on the grass too. "Why don't your people play games?" Ryan asked. "Games serve no logical purpose," the Supreme Commander replied automatically. "But they're fun," Tyler said. "Don't you like having fun?" "Fun is ... The Supreme Commander struggled with the word. "Fun is inefficient," Lucy gasped. "That's terrible. Fun is the best part of everything." She reached into her backpack and pulled out a piece of paper and some crayons. "Here," she said, starting to draw. "I'm going to make you a picture to help. You remember how to have fun." The Supreme Commander watched as Lucy drew a picture of him, but in her drawing, he was smiling and playing with children. The picture was simple and childish, but something about it made his chest feel tight. "Why did you draw me with facial expressions?" he asked. "Because you look sad without them," Lucy said. "Everyone looks better when they're happy." The other aliens gathered around, listening to the conversation. Commander Vex 9 looked confused. "Supreme Commander, what is happening to you?" "I do not know," the Supreme Commander admitted. He looked at Lucy's drawing again. "I have not felt these sensations." For many centuries, Mrs. Bennet had been watching quietly. Now she understood something important. "How long has it been since your people played or laughed?" she asked gently. "We eliminated such behaviors when we achieved perfect logic," Commander Vex 9 answered. "They were considered primitive and wasteful." "But that's so sad," Lucy exclaimed. "No wonder you all look grumpy." Jake had an idea. "Do you want us to teach you how to play? We know lots of games." "I do not understand the purpose," the Supreme Commander said, but his voice was softer now. "The purpose is to be happy," Emma explained, "and to make friends." "Friends," the Supreme Commander repeated the word slowly. "We do not have friends. We have colleagues and subordinates." "That sounds lonely too," Ryan said. "We could be your friends," Tyler offered, "if you want." The Supreme Commander stared at the twins. In his long life leading a galactic empire, no one had ever offered to be his friend just because they wanted to. Lucy finished her drawing and handed it to him. "Here, this is for you to keep." The Supreme Commander held the crayon drawing with his long, thin fingers. The paper was small and fragile compared to his hands, but he held it like it was made of precious crystal. "No one has ever given me a gift before," he said quietly. "Really?" Jake asked. "That's terrible. Everyone should get presents sometimes." The other children started pulling things from their pockets and backpacks. Tyler gave the Supreme Commander a smooth rock he had found. Emma offered him one of her favorite pencils. Ryan shared a small toy car. Jake gave him a marble that sparkled. In the sunlight, soon the Supreme Commander's hands were full of small treasures, simple things that children thought were special. "Why are you giving me these items?" he asked. "Because we like you," Lucy said simply. "And friends give each other presents." The Supreme Commander felt something wet on his face. He touched his cheek in confusion. "What is this liquid?" "Those are tears," Mrs. Bennet said gently. "It means you're feeling strong emotions." "I thought we had eliminated emotional responses," Commander Vex 9 said, sounding worried. "Maybe you just forgot how to use them," Emma suggested. "Like when you don't ride a bike for a long time, but you can still remember how once someone shows you again." The Supreme Commander looked around at all the faces watching him, the children's faces full of kindness, the human adults looking hopeful, and his own people looking confused and concerned. "We came here to test your species," he said slowly, "to see if you are intelligent enough to join our galactic community. Did we pass?" Jake asked. The Supreme Commander was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something that surprised everyone, including himself. He smiled. It was awkward and unfamiliar, but it was definitely a smile. "You did not pass our tests," he said. "You did something much more important. You taught us that our tests were wrong." He stood up, still holding the children's gifts. "For thousands of years, we have traveled the galaxy looking for intelligent life. We tested species on logic, strategy, and difficult choices. We thought intelligence meant the ability to make hard decisions and solve complex problems. But you can do all that stuff," Ryan pointed out. "Yes," the Supreme Commander said. "And in doing so, we lost something precious. We became so focused on being smart that we forgot how to be happy. We became so good at solving problems that we forgot how to prevent them. We became so logical that we lost our ability to hope." Commander Vex 9 stepped forward. "Supreme Commander, what are you saying?" "I am saying that these small humans have shown us a different kind of intelligence," the Supreme Commander replied. "The intelligence of the heart, the wisdom of kindness, the logic of love." Lucy clapped her hands. "Does that mean we can be friends?" "More than friends," the Supreme Commander said. "We would like to become your students." The human adults looked amazed. Colonel Wright stepped forward. "You want to learn from us?" "From them," the Supreme Commander said, pointing to the children. "We have forgotten how to play, how to hope, how to see solutions where others see only problems. These children have not learned our limitations yet. They still believe that every problem has a solution and that everyone deserves to be helped." Emma raised her hand. "Does this mean you're not going to hurt anyone?" "We never intended to cause harm, Commander," Vex 9 said. "But our methods were cold and frightening. We see that now." "So what happens next?" Mrs. Bennet asked. The Supreme Commander looked at his fellow aliens, then at the children. "We would like to make a proposal. Instead of your planet joining our galactic community as a junior member, we would like to establish a cultural exchange program. We will share our technology and knowledge of the universe. In return, you will teach us how to rediscover joy, creativity, and hope. Cool, Jake said. Can we visit your spaceships? Can you teach us how to fly? Tyler asked. Can we meet aliens from other planets? Ryan wanted to know. Yes to all of those things, the Supreme Commander said. But first, I have a question. For you. What? Lucy asked. Would you be willing to show me how to play one of your games? The children jumped up excitedly. Yes, they all shouted together. What game do you want to learn? Emma asked. The Supreme Commander thought for a moment. The one where everyone sits in a circle and shares stories, he said. I would like to tell you about the stars, and I would like to hear about your dreams. And so, on a playground in Ohio, the most powerful beings in the galaxy sat in a circle with kindergarten children and began to learn the most important lesson of all, that true intelligence includes wisdom. Wisdom includes kindness, and kindness makes everything possible. 6 months later, Maple Grove Elementary became Earth's first intergalactic cultural center. Commander Vex 9, now known as Mr. Vex to his students, learned to play hopscotch and help children with their math homework. The Supreme Commander, who the children called Mr. Czar, became the galaxy's first alien kindergarten teacher, and in classrooms across the cosmos, young beings from dozens of worlds learned the most important subjects of all: how to be kind, how to share, how to hope, and how to believe that every problem has a solution. If you just think creatively enough, the children of Earth had not outwitted the aliens through cleverness or cunning. They had healed them through love, and in doing so, they had given the galaxy something it had lost long ago, the wisdom of wonder and the intelligence of joy. Jake Murphy kept the title of Earth's youngest unofficial ambassador. Lucy Adams started the first interspecies art program. Emma Rodriguez founded the Universal Friendship Club, and the Collins twins established the official rules for Cosmic Tag, which became popular on 17 different planets. Mrs. Katie Bennett got the promotion of a lifetime, from kindergarten teacher to director of Galactic Early Childhood Education. She still insisted that circle time was the most important part of every day, whether the students had 2 legs, 4 arms, or big black eyes. And whenever young beings throughout the galaxy faced impossible problems or difficult tests, they remembered the lesson learned on a small playground on Earth. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is refuse to believe that anyone has to get hurt. And the bravest thing you can do is offer to share your cookies with a stranger. The universe became a much friendlier place after that.